Alrighty, guys. I want to pop away from WoW for a second because we've got some stuff to talk about, which may mean we're all cooked. Now, by you all, I mean you all, not me all, we all, because this is about the transgender movement and the fact that it's apparently over for the transgender movement. So, like I said, we got some stuff to talk about. But before we do that, a couple of things here. One, I want to get into the fan art section, and two, I want to make a request of y'all, and that is that if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so, and if you are subscribed, maybe let a couple people know what I'm doing over here, and that would be greatly appreciated. You have no fucking idea. But, apparently, I have a board thing. I am on somebody's board down here saying the true words down by here, and I don't know how I got there, but Gideon Wells posted it. So that must have been a thing that happened at some point where they're concerned. As always, if y'all want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's get into this video from Actual Justice Warrior that says, it's over. It's all over.
So the first detransitioner ever to win a medical malpractice suit has received $2 million for a double mastectomy that was pushed on this poor girl at age 16 by these so-called medical professionals. That settlement is $2 million. It happened in the state of New York, of all places, and this is a big turning point, a big inflection point in order to address the crimes that are being committed in this experimentation on children that has been pushed upon us by the Democratic Party, essentially mandated by them.
That's a lot of words. That's a lot of words. The Democratic Party mandated double mastectomies to one girl. It was wrong, and the medical professionals were the ones that pushed it, but it was mandated by the Democratic Party, and now we're here? I'm confused.
Despite the fact that we would never, for any reason whatsoever, let a 16-year-old girl get a tattoo or do something far less damaging than removing both of her breasts, again, at age 16 years old. Now, of course, this is a major case.
We would never, under any circumstances, ever allow that. Except for the fact that a 16-year-old can actually get a tattoo so long as there is parental consent to that happening in several states. Actually, the legalities of a 16-year-old getting a tattoo are very, very different state by state, but it does happen. Did he not feel like researching whether or not that was the thing that happened before he did this video, or did he just decide to hip-fire that and hope nobody fact-checked him on it?
We are going to break this down. We're going to talk about how important it is, how significant it is, how hopefully this will open the floodgates for further lawsuits of this kind. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel.
Okay, that's so cool. Anyway, instead of that, maybe consider being a member of my Patreon. Anyway.
That really sticks out to me actually comes from an interview that Fox Varian, the person who filed and won this lawsuit, gave with the Free Press, and it reads as follows. It's hard to face that you are disfigured for life. No amount of reconstruction is ever going to bring back what I lost. And again, this surgery was performed on this 22-year-old when she was 16 years old in 2019 under the supervision of 2 doctors. Now, of course, I will also point out that many people who are pushing the trans's agenda often lie to people in the public, and they say that there's none of these surgeries going on with people underage, or they say something.
No, we say generally it doesn't happen. And specifically, it doesn't happen a statistically significant amount of times. That's what it is. That's what the case is. Also, so if we actually look at some of the news reporting on this that's a little less fucking biased. So the verdict specifically pointed out her healthcare provider, psychologist Kenneth Einhorn, and surgeon Simon Chin had rushed her into surgery, had not addressed her mental health issues, and had not obtained informed consent. So what you're saying is medical malpractice was found, and it's good that the medical malpractice was found, and now that the medical malpractice has been found, we can prevent further victims from being victimized by people who engaged in medical malpractice. Okay, cool. You know what that doesn't mean? That doesn't mean that the trans movement is over. That doesn't mean that people are going to stop being trans. That doesn't, like... Let's talk about numbers. Let's talk about numbers real quick. Just before we get any further, let's talk about numbers. Because I actually have some of this stuff pulled up and ready to go real quick. Just a little bit of it. So let's talk about detransition. Let's talk about how common detransition is in general. So here is a list of a fuck ton of studies. And you'll notice up here in all the high reliability studies, in all of these studies that have done their due diligence and have undergone peer reviews, what is the rate of trans regret amongst people who transition? 1.2% from the highest measured study. 6.3% in another one. 5.5% in another one. 1.6% in another one. 3.2% in another one. 1.0% in another one. Hell, one of the studies actually found 0 people at all. Now, as you go lower and lower to these studies that have lower reliability, you see that those numbers do increase, usually found from some form of follow-up assessment from patients. Now, this is not to go into the numbers of trans people who detransition for personal safety reasons, because that number exists as well, and it throws some of these numbers off. Say you transition and then you realize that the world around you is actually pretty fucky when it comes to trans people, and you want to get ahead of the curve and make sure that you don't get, you know, fucked by society around you. And what's funny is that that actually is noted specifically in the news article talking about this. Yahoo News says that transition regret is rare. Let me move myself a little bit here so you can see it. Transition regret is rare. The New York Times cited studies that put it at 5% to 10% among minors, which is, that's actually a bit higher than what most of these studies show. But that's fine. That's fine. Let's see here. A 2024 report in the American Journal of Surgery looking at 55 studies put the regret of gender-affirming studies at 1% overall. I should have read ahead. Apologies. I'm stupid. It looks like the regret rate was actually even lower. It was far lower than the regret rate of having various other types of elective plastic surgery, even above being tattooed or having children. Varian's lawyer said the case was about malpractice, not gender-affirming care. Holy fucking shit! What? So you're telling me that even the lawyer in this case is not talking about gender-affirming care on the whole, and yet dumbass McGee, actual justice warrior, wants us to instead talk about the transgender movement as a whole? This guy right here, this absolute pinnacle of human psychology and intelligence, wants to talk about something that even the lawyer of the case did not want to say was the actual thing that needed to be talked about. Wild, actually. Crazy, even. Anyway, Dr. Lawrence Schechter, president-elect of the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, agreed as well. Testifying in court on Varian's behalf, said the approval of her surgery was based on assumption and inference, which was not sufficiently rigorous to justify it. After the verdict, WPATH released a statement saying this was a case of medical malpractice, not a referendum on gender-affirming care. When care is delivered ethically and responsibly within these guidelines, the integrity of the field is strengthened. So this is not a case against gender-affirming care or the trans movement. This is a case for increased scrutiny within the practice of gender-affirming care. This is what we want to see. We don't want a carte blanche that just says trans all the kids. We want guidelines. We want studies. We want to make sure that we do this shit the right way. And yet, actual justice warrior over here, again, deciding not to read into any of this and just going like, nah, this gives us a W against the transes.
To the effect of, well, this affirming care is absolutely crucial for them, and don't worry, it's completely reversible. And we've not only heard this with puberty blocker.
Hold on. Are you saying that we think that, who has said that a double mastectomy is reversible? Who has said that?
And of course with hormones, but who
is saying it with hormones? No, anybody that says that hormones are reversible is just completely fucking wrong in that regard. The reason that we have puberty blockers in the first place is because of the irreversible effect of hormones. Male hormones giving you a deeper voice is one of the things that women who are trans want to avoid having to deal with, which is why we have the access to puberty blockers for them. Actual Justice Warrior, I'm not saying that people don't say that. I've encountered them, and those people are stupid. But that is not a refutation of an entire movement. A movement having idiots on it does not mean jack shit.
Also heard this with a double mastectomy in particular, because
Who has said a double mastectomy is reversible? Who?
guess what? If you had your breasts removed, you could just go get new ones from the store, go down to the boobie factory and get them installed. But in reality, we all know that you're doing significant damage to a developing body. And again, in no other context would something much less damaging be permitted. But of course, when it's
Well, that's something different entirely. Like, it does significant damage to do any surgery. That's why invasive surgeries are called invasive. They invade your body. They do damage to your body to get in. That is not what we give a shit about. Now, if you think that a double mastectomy is technically reversible because you can go get breast implants, that's not the same thing, and you know it. It's one of the reasons why you can usually tell fake breasts from non-fake breasts, especially when they're... I'm not going to get into fucking boobyism, but there's a Game Apologist video about it. Just go watch the Game Apologist video about breasts.
trans is all the rules and common sense get thrown out the window. Now,
Common sense does not mean jack shit when it comes to the medical field. Common sense doesn't mean anything. Common sense is just whatever your biases were at the time, and I would hope you would know that.
of course, the example that people often go to is a tattoo. You have to be 18 years old in order to get one.
Nope. You generally have to be 18, but with parental consent, you can get them much lower.
This is not something that you wouldn't face consequences for if you were a tattoo artist and you did so knowingly on a child, and tattoos can actually be covered up, they can be lasered off, and they don't actually damage your body in the way that a double mastectomy would.
So, do they not damage your body? Because they do. The point of a tattoo is to scar the body. It scars the body, and that is one of the things that leads to its permanence. That's why even after you get laser remover, like laser removal on a tattoo, there is still a scar that is left over because of the process of tattooing. But the point about it, oh, it's not the same. No fucking duh. Any procedure is going to be different.
Again, especially a medically unnecessary double mastectomy. But again, think about it like this.
A medically unnecessary double mastectomy. Now, that's really loaded. That's actually incredibly loaded language. Because if you are trans and you are having a negative result on your mental health because of how you perceive yourself when you look in the mirror, how you are seen by your friends, your peers, your family, the brain is a part of the body. That mental duress requiring an intervention of some kind can be considered nothing other than a medical intervention. It is an aspect of medicine to intervene and try to alleviate that pain. What the fuck are you talking about?
Say you were really into Dragon Ball, like I was when I was a child, when I was a youth, and one of your favorite characters was Future Gohan. You know, the one that trains Trunks, that
What the fuck does this have to do with anything?
travels back in time.
Is he going to talk about removing your arm and saying that you wouldn't want to remove your arm? Is that going to be the point? Because it's not a fucking want at that point. For trans people, it's a need. It is a medical need. We're in a scope error right now.
In order to help the Z Fighters, well, Future Gohan at one point in time actually loses his arm, and he's actually pretty badass in that TV special, fighting off both androids with one arm. And let's say you like this guy so much that you've decided you want to identify as Future Gohan, so you go to a bunch of different
Are we at Attack Helicopter again? This is just Attack Helicopter. This is Attack Helicopter. It's 2026. How have none of you moved on from fucking Attack Helicopter? That's all this is. It's if Attack Helicopter gets subbed out for Future Gohan, but it's the same fucking thing. What? How are we still here? How are we still here? There's a fucking scope error. No, I can't. Really? Really?
doctors, you explain to them that you genuinely and truly believe that. You get a psychiatrist to say, you know what? I think you are actually Future Gohan. You need Future Gohan affirming care. So
Nobody's gonna fucking do that. This is a scope error. This is an attempt to do a fucking reductio ad absurdum, but it's completely failing. My guy, Future Gohan is not a gender. I do not wake up looking at other future Gohans and go, ah, yes, that's what I'm supposed to be. No. No. Fucking hell. Does somebody actually think this is a good argument? Is that what happened? Like, do people actually look at this and go, yes, that is insightful. I need to see. Is somebody... Gohan. I appreciate the future Gohan story. I was about to do something pretty drastic to affirm my belief that I was future Gohan, but you saved me. Thank you. That's definitely not a real statement. That's parody. I really need to see. Are there any... The future Gohan bit had me chuckling at work, but it's not even funny. It's the attack helicopter joke. Future Gohan affirming care. I love the casual nerd segment. I mean, I'm glad he likes Dragon Ball. That's so cool, but that's a fucking stupid point. Then I assume boys should be kept away from... I'm not reading everything that's in that tangent. Sakura says, common sense in the 19th century was that it was bad to wash your hands when doing surgery. Yep. Yeah, if the rest of the argument is going to be based on this fucking thing, then I'm just skipping ahead. I can't.
Because regular, ordinary people definitely understand this, according to the Epic Times.
The Epic Times? The Epic Times! The news organization that's owned by a fucking pro-China cult? How do we live in this reality? How do we live in this reality? Yes, Sarah Chikorita, the fucking Falun Gong. How? Why are we quoting the Epic Times? Why are we quoting the Falun Gong cult? Why are we doing that? What?
Times, Varian, now 22, is considered a dreaded, non-existent detransitioner, even though they...
Nobody says that detransitioners don't exist. Nobody does that. We have data that shows that they do exist. Here, I'll bring it back up. It's very easy to show you. It's very easy. The detransitioners exist. It's right here. We have data showing that they fucking exist. I have all the fucking tables right fucking here. It's all here. They do exist. The argument is not that they don't exist. The argument is that there are so few of them that we don't give a shit. The same way I don't give a shit about knee surgery. My guy, would you like me to look up the regret rate of knee surgery? Hold on. Just real quick. Just real quick. Did you know that it's been reported multiple times that there is almost a 20% rate of regret for knee surgery? Fucking hell. The average rate of dissatisfaction was actually 10%. 10%. The average rate of dissatisfaction for trans surgeries, 1%. 1 singular digit. No, we're done with your video. I can't. Every single one of these things, just the tiniest bit, the ittiest bit, the smallest fucking bit of look into the literature shows that it's all fucking stupid. All of it. And you know what's so cool about all this shit? You're doing Epstein's work. All this anti-trans shit, you're doing Epstein's work for him. The fetishization of trans people, which has led to the attempted classification of trans people as pornography in Project 2025. Do you know that Epstein was one of the fucking architects for that shit? Isn't that so wild that all of you are doing the work of a goddamn pedophile? Fucking hell. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, by the way, even Epstein would not have wanted to trans kids, because that's not the fucking thing that happens. That's not what the professional literature points out at all. But okay. Contrast the poor female to male versions. They're unhappy and lonely. They're men with mum-pums, the worst of both worlds. If you like smelly masculine men, you want the hard cocktails of the show. You don't want one of nature's more complex and variable structures. The vagina, that's an acquired taste and not with a man. So many trans women are very attractive and easily make money, which in turn they assert promotes their prostitution, since they have to pay hefty fees for injections every week. But they are sexually happy. Once you've reached manhood, even castration does not prevent the sensation of orgasm. Dude was very, very transfixed, as it were. I'm done. I'm so done. I'm done with all this shit. Fucking hell. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.